everyone. In this video, I'm going to explain negative signs clearly because this is one of the most common places students can get confused in algebra. We're going to look at what a negative sign means with numbers, variables, and parentheses. The negative sign can behave in different ways depending on what it is attached to. If it's attached to a number, it changes the value. So if a negative sign is attached to a number like 3, 3 is positive, but negative 3 is negative. If it's attached to a term, it changes the sign of the whole term. So positive 7y is now negative 7y. And if it's outside parentheses, it changes every sign inside. A lot of algebra mistakes can happen and do happen because students don't stop to notice exactly what the negative sign is attached to. This slide shows something really important. The negative sign and the subtraction sign are not always doing the same job. When you see negative 5, the sign is part of the value. It tells you the number is below or less than 0 because it's negative. But in 8 minus 5, the minus sign is being used as an operation. It tells you to subtract. So 8 minus 5 goes back to 3. And 3 is still positive. It doesn't become negative. So negative and subtraction are two different things. Sometimes the symbol shows the value and sometimes it shows an action. Subtraction is an action. A negative sign is a value. Negative numbers are numbers less than 0. On a number line, they live to the left of 0. So negative 12, negative 7, and negative 3 are all values below 0. This is the most basic meaning of a negative sign. It tells you where the number is. Now let's look at how negatives show up in operations. Negative 3 plus 5 gives us 2 because we start at negative 3 and move 5 units to the right. 4 minus 7 gives us negative 3 because we start at 4 and move 7 units to the left. And negative 2 minus 6 gives us negative 8 because we start at negative 2 and move even farther. Negative 6, we move back left 6 and we get negative 8. So the negative sign can change the final result depending on where you start and which direction you move. When a negative sign is attached to a variable term, it belongs to the whole term. So negative 3x means the coefficient, the number 3, is negative. And the whole term is negative. The negative cannot just be ignored or left behind. It stays attached to the term. So negative 3x is a whole term. It's together. So that whole thing is negative. This is one of the biggest ideas in the lesson. When a negative sign is outside parentheses, it changes every single sign that is inside that parentheses. So negative of x plus 4 becomes negative x minus 4. The golden rule here is a negative sign outside parentheses changes every sign inside. This is one of the most common mistakes. Students can often change only the first sign and stop too early. So they might turn negative parentheses x plus 4 into negative x plus 4, but that's wrong. What we need to do, and the correct answer, is negative x minus 4, because the negative affects everything inside the parentheses. Here we see what happens when the negative outside parentheses meets a negative inside the parentheses. In negative 2y minus 5, the outside negative flips or changes both signs. So positive 2y becomes negative 2y, and negative 5 becomes positive 5, because remember, negative changes the signs. So even if there's a negative inside the parentheses, a negative and a negative makes it a positive. This is a good reminder that every sign flips. This slide sums up the 4 main ways a negative sign can behave. On a number, it gives a value below 0. In an operation, it tells you to subtract or move left. Remember to move left or towards the negative side of the number line. On a variable, it belongs to the whole term. And outside parentheses, it flips every sign that is inside. If you can keep these 4 behaviors straight, negative signs can become a lot less confusing. Pause here and try these on your own. As you work, ask yourself, what is the negative attached to? For the parentheses problems, remember to change every sign inside. For the number problems, think about what the value or the movement on the number line could be. Here are the answers. Negative of a plus 3 becomes negative a minus 3. Negative of 4m minus 2 becomes negative 4 plus 2. Negative 6 plus 10 is 4. And 7 minus 12 is negative 5. The big takeaway is that mastering this one rule can prevent a lot of algebra mistakes. And the next topic after this is combining like terms. Because once students understand signs better, it becomes easier to simplify expressions correctly.